Hey guys, I recently picked up a Zotac Pico PI320, I believe it's called. It is a it's extremely small, fully functional x86 computer. It's got a copy of Windows 8.1 with Bing on it. It has the Bay Trail Z3735F quad-core processor. It has 2 gigs of memory, 32 gigs of storage. All in this little tiny form factor, so it's pretty cool. I purchased it primarily to see how well it would do as a Steam client with Steam in-home streaming. It does have a Ethernet port, 10100, which should be suitable. It does have 2 USB 2.0 ports here, and on the back I have HDMI power, and then go into the Microsoft wireless receiver for the Xbox controller. So right now I'm going to power it on. I got it set up to where it boots right into the desktop and then goes right into Steam Big Picture. So that's how it's set up currently. I did turn off the logo and the blue ring in the BIOS just because it will be sitting behind a TV and I didn't want it illuminating the wall when the lights are turned out. So let's see how it boots up. So it's pretty quick to boot up. It does take a second for Steam to load and launch into Big Picture, so you got to be a little patient. I do have my Xbox controller already hooked up to it. It's already connected to the dongle. It's already powered on, ready to go. So here we are. I do have to run the UI of Big Picture natively. I'll have to run it in 720p. If you crank it up to 1080, it's too laggy. Even I did increase the video memory on this box to 512 to dedicate some of the memory to 512 megabytes to the GPU side, and it still didn't really make much of a difference. So right now I have it set at 256 for the GPU, and it runs pretty good. So I've been playing a couple games on it. I'm going to do some testing to show you how well it does for Steam Big Picture. All the tests will be done at 1080p at 60 frames per second, so I'm going to run a couple games. So the first game we're going to try is Trine 2. It's running at 1080p, 60 frames per second, and I gotta say my experience with this game thus far has been pretty good. It's been solid. It's smooth, very minimal frame loss, and no complaints really. So yeah, pretty good here on Trine. I can kind of zoom in. I am using the NVIDIA. I have a GTX 780, so I'm using the NVIDIA GPU accelerated encoder. And this specific chip that's in this Zotac box is a Z3735F, so it doesn't have Intel QuickSync, but it does use the DirectX accelerated decoder, which is DXVA, and it still does a decent job, especially at this resolution and frame rate. I mean, it really does a good job, so not really many complaints there. It says my estimated bandwidth is about 867 megabits per second. Ooh! And my ping time is about 2.3, 2.4 milliseconds, and very minimal frame loss, below 1%. Like I said, if you were playing this on a console compared to this, I mean, you couldn't even tell you're not playing a console. It runs great. So let's go on. I'll do just a quick shot, a zoom in of the specs down there. I don't know if you can read it or not. It's probably hard to see, but running good so far. So let's move on to the next game. Next game is Shadow of Mordor, and we'll see how good this one runs. Again, 1920 by 1080 at 60 frames per second. So far, so good. There has been some frame loss, about 1%, 0.67%, not a whole lot. It's smooth though. I mean, it's very playable. I mean, I wouldn't consider it as smooth as playing it natively on your gaming PC, but it's definitely not bad. So, you know, I get, let's see here, it's about, yeah, about 1.6, 1.5 frame loss. So there's some frame loss happening. It's, and you can kind of feel it. It feels a little skippy here and there, little judder, but it's really not bad, considering it's 1080p at 60 frames per second. So it's kind of sitting at the 1% mark on frame loss, so obviously there's definitely some frames being lost here, and I don't know if that's a limitation with the box or limitation with the network speed or what. I really don't know. Like I said, this box doesn't use quick sync, so that could be a decoding limitation. I don't know. I felt the box, and normally when you're using this box and you're running a lot of programs, doing a lot of things, it gets rather warm. And even the CPU, you'll see that all of the cores jump up to about 70 degrees or so. But feeling it when I'm decoding this this feed, it's not bad. It's really not that hot. So I'm going to zoom in on the stats down here in the lower left so you can kind of see what we're looking at. But it's definitely playable. So let's take a quick zoom. So you see frame loss is about 0.6. It kind of bounces back between that and 1%. And there's your latency and everything else, just if you're curious. But I could certainly play this and have it be a playable experience using this client. So let's check out another game. Alright, next up is WatchDogs. So let's see how this... I just started playing this game, so I'm terrible at it. Keep that in mind. I did run this before, and one thing I did notice is that it doesn't really run that great on the in-home streaming. I mean, it is running at 1080p 60 frames per second. I did notice with this game, though, there's more frame loss with this game than there is with any other game, and you can definitely feel the jitters when you're playing it. Right now it's actually relatively smooth. Boom. Boom. Alright, so let's get out and see how it runs when I'm out and about. So the frame loss is sitting about 1%. And so it's not terrible. Actually, it seems like it's running better today than it was the other day. No packet loss, just a little bit of frame loss. Nice. It's like a 80s Camaro or something. It's actually not bad. I mean, there is that occasional stutter and jitter. Obviously, this game is known for stutters, but I think they recently addressed it in a patch. But I do notice it does play smooth on my gaming rig. So definitely the stuttering and the skipping is has to do with in-home streaming, but still not bad. It's very playable. Boom. Still about 1% frame loss, 1.2%. So that's WatchDogs. Next up is Assetto Corsa. It's not really a game you can play from your couch because you do need a keyboard, or I'm sorry, a mouse to get through the menus and stuff. But just kind of want to see how it streams as well, and everything is. Again, at 1080p, 60 frames per second, and see how it runs. it's a consistent frame loss of about 1.5 to 2%, so this is actually the highest seen thus far. The controls are pretty responsive. I would, you know, definitely playable. The skipping doesn't really, I'm not really seeing that much skipping going on either. Maybe a little bit of judder, but not too bad. Yeah. Oh. It feels a little more like it judders a little bit more on this exterior view than it does on the interior cockpit view, but frame loss again hovers about 1.5 to 2%. I think it's actually pretty playable though. I mean, the controls are pretty responsive. I mean, I'm terrible at this game, obviously, but the controls are responsive. You can't really feel the input lag. I don't think at all. I don't feel it. This car is a bear. But, yeah, overall not a bad experience with Assetto Corsa. I'll zoom in and show you what I'm talking about as far as the packet loss and all that fun stuff. So there's Assetto Corsa. Alright, the last game I'm going to be testing is Metro Last Light. I wanted to test a first-person shooter game, see how well it runs. Again, all the options. 1080p, 60 frames per second, looking pretty good. Packet loss is about 1%, 1.5%. Playing this game on a controller is definitely weird. Some of that texture.
Just have to see about that.
So the frame loss again, I keep saying packet loss, I mean frame loss, is 0.5 to 1%.
That's why the Nazis cut the night. These things hate it. Okay, Spartan, a short lesson. Bullets won't cut it. And since they're afraid of light, let's take the light to them. Okay? Now don't you turn that light off. Understand, we're in a world of hell without it. Okay then. Looks like they blew the tunnel up. And maybe something on the other side they couldn't stop.
So yeah, it runs pretty good. I mean, it's definitely playable at 1080p at 60.
There's got to be a way through somewhere.
I mean, at least at this part of the game, I don't know what happens if it's at a stressful part or what, but so far the frame loss is sitting around 1%. Whoa, I just went through the guy. So, yeah, Metro Last Light's not bad. Very playable. 1% frame loss, but still playable. So overall, what do I think about the Zotac, the Pico PI320 as far as a Steam in-home streaming client? I think it's a pretty good option. It's obviously not perfection. You would probably be better off going with a Gigabyte bricks or an Intel NUC for the added bandwidth, and with an i3 or a Celeron with QuickSync would probably do a better job on decoding. But considering its price is $179 right now, and it's the size of like an iPhone 5 with a thickness of about 3 of them stacked together, I mean it's pretty cool. I'm going to actually Velcro it on the back of one of my TVs and just leave it there connected to Ethernet and use it as a client. So if there's any updates, I'll definitely let you guys know. But for the price, I think it's pretty good.